me see what this is about, to be honest. Is that Concord on the thumbnail? It is Concord on the thumbnail. I haven't seen a Hero Hey video in a while.
Pretty interesting post here that we got from Alerting the Law. Says, bro, this guy worked officially on the game South of Midnight and is now confirming that Microsoft actively discourages artists from creating curvy female characters in its games. The pattern has seemed obvious for a while. Look at his Lara Croft. Someone should interview him. That person being Anima Lune, who responded to a different post of Learning the Law where he said, like a clockwork, posting this headline from an article that says Microsoft does not want curvy women in video games, warns developers against certain body proportions, which Lune...
So now you're discriminating my body type now? That's crazy to see that, to be honest. That's wild. That is actually wild.
Responded to, writing, I've worked on a couple productions for Xbox, and I can say that it's absolutely true. Now, of course, anyone with eyes could also tell that this is true, but it's always nice getting some more what you could call internal confirmation. Then we have this response where a user posts a now deleted tweet from a different artist. This
Imagínate que ellos tienen miedo por un cuerpo que está, ¿cómo decir? How do you say it in Spanish? Curvy? O curvado? Okay. Imagínate que ellos tienen miedo. No le gusta el cuerpo mío. Imagínate. No, not really redondo. No. It's curvado, I guess. I guess that's the Spanish translation, I guess. I don't fucking know, to be honest. That word is a little bit, that one I don't know the actual Spanish translation for that one, to be honest. Pero imagínate que tienen miedo para un cuerpo así. ¿Tiene miedo de mi específico cuerpo? Que las normales, curvas, okay. Con curvas, imagínate, tienen miedo de mi cuerpo. Yo no pensaba en este tiempo que van a tener miedo que mujeres que tienen curvas. Qué raro que vivimos el tiempo ahorita. We want Eve models since Eve have a model.
This guy named Del Walker, aka Cartel Del, who often defends the modern audience side of things, the corporate side of things. On a rare break from that,
Los
he actually
americanos
made
no
this
le
post that
gustan
also gave insight into what goes on behind the scenes in a negative light. But he later seems to have deleted this tweet and then made an apology of sorts. You'll see what I mean when we get to that. But check this out real quick. So, says Del Walker, video game industry artist, had said, there's been a handful of times that I've pitched black women characters that look like this, the picture on the left. Then, after 10 iterations, the concept or model comes back without a speck of the original beauty I pitched. I'm not talking about mild changes. I'm talking about pose, aura, style, softness, age, flair. I hate giving Gamergate men fuel, but it's very difficult to pitch beautiful or vain black women in games without them coming back like grocery store aunties. There is room for both.
So you're telling me that this artist provides a pitch of these people, right? Like just these like beautiful women in general, just taking selfie pictures at the bathroom or office or whatever, you know? And then instead of like doing this, instead of actually showing the beauty of black people, instead they decide to do this. It does kind of actually prove how racist they are, to be frankly honest, because they think that all black women look like this. Don't you think that's such a stereotype? I don't know, maybe that's just me though. Cause in Mexico or Hispanic, right? In Hispanic, right? In the Hispanic world, usually a lot of black women look like this who are Hispanic. I'm just saying, you know, they have the curvy body, you know? That's why we have almost no pretty black characters in media. Yeah. I'm like, that is very true, actually, to be honest. I feel like they are like straight up, like, no joke. I feel like they're racist because they think the stereotype is this. This woman reminds me of like an episode from the Boondocks. That's what it reminds me of. Es como cuando piensan que por hablar español todos somos de México. Sí, ellos piensan o también la rara cosa de que pasó creo que pasó el último año o 2 años, no me recuerdo cuándo pasó esto. No sé si estos llegaron a ustedes, pero en aquí, en ese específico lado del Twitter, ellos pensaban de que no hay piel de café. Porque tú sabes que todos los hispánicos más o menos tiene el piel tiene de piel de café, más o menos café o un poquito café o como sea, ¿verdad? No, ellos pensaban que solo estamos negros. Cada hispánico es negro, cada uno. No hay café, no hay blanco, no hay amarillo, no hay nada, no. Solo es negro. Eso que pensaban, porque un específico lugar en el juego de Genshin Impact estaba saliendo de esa territoria de que es más o menos que es un poquito hispánico, un poquito de las islas de allá, y piensa que solo es un color de piel, y estaba enojado que muchos son diferentes colores de piel, y los caricaturas que salieron, los characters de la gacha, dijeron de que están muy blancos, están muy güeros esos güeyes. ¿Por qué están güeros? Debe estar negros. ¿Por qué no están negros? ¿Qué racistas son esta compañía? Ya. Y montón de gente estaban enojándose de que las mujeres que estaban saliendo no estaban negras o todo eso así. Solo estaba bien poquito gentes que tenían de piel de más poquito café, tiene un poquito, como decir, melanin. No sé cómo. How do you say melanin? Melanina. Oh, okay. All right. I guess that's how you say it in Spanish, I guess. But ahí estaba uno que tenían el piel así, un poquito café, unos tenían un poquito más oscuro, uno tenía más blanco. Y esto que yo dije yo siempre, mira, en el mundo de hispánico, todos tenemos diferentes colores de piel también. No creas que todos son solo un color de piel. Todos tenemos diferente color de piel. Tenemos negro piel. Si vas más hondo en el territorio de hispánico, como en Brasil o todo ese lugar ahí vas a mirar más negros, más o menos. Pero si vengas más norte, vas a tener más blanco, vas a tener más café, vas a tener más que tienen negro, o si tienen poquito más como decir, el color de piel de olive, o como sea. Es la rara cosa que ellos piensan que solo tenemos un específico color de piel, y ellos piensan que estamos casi negros. Ellos piensan que sabe qué es que son hispánicos, pero de verdad ellos no saben nada porque ellos nunca salgan de la casa de ellos. Eso es todo lo que debo decir. Esos gente son más locos de que mi mamá es cuando se enoja a los otros. Oliva, is that how you say it? I don't really know, to be frankly honest. I only know some stuff. It's the same thing when, like, in English. There's some words in English I don't understand. I just say the Spanish version of it, to be honest. I love some black characters in gacha games, but so far nothing. The problem is like, I was just talking about basically the whole Genshin Impact about Notlin. When Notlin was an announcer, so the voice actors, the people were out getting mad or so because there was a lot more like pale skin characters, even though some of them were melanin. But some people were getting very upset that, like, that they weren't like black. Like, they weren't black. That was basically it. That's what they wanted. They wanted them to be black. They thought most of us, because like that region is inspired by Polynesian and Hispanic. So they thought specifically, that we all had one specific color, and that's basically it. Me acuerdo que era una chica de Perú que era blanca fuera de Europe, y la gente de ahí cuando le preguntaba de dónde era, y cuando le respondía de que Perú, los europeos le dicen, ¿qué? Pero te ves muy limpia. That's funny. I like that. Qué chistoso es eso. ¿Tú sabes la chistosa cosa? Yo leo los comentarios que dejan ustedes en los videos. Ellos piensan que yo estoy una gringa, pero no estoy una gringa. Yo estoy hispánica también. Yo estoy mixto. Yo estoy salvatrucha y mexicana. Yo estoy. Esos son mis razas, pero estoy mixado también de asiática, Asian, asiático. También estoy mixado también con esa raza, pero yo más o menos, yo tengo más hispánico que asiático. Es la diferencia. So, mezclada. La rara cosa es como lo dicen en inglés. En inglés lo dicen así. What's the term? A mutt. Ellos piensan que estoy como un perro, más o menos. No es casi igual la misma la translación. Me dice que estoy un perro por un perro mixado. Eso es porque I am Brazilian. All my family looks European white. Well, that's what I'm saying. Or so, like, you'll see throughout like all the Hispanic regions or so, you'll get like plenty of different like skin tones in general, right? You'll have some black people. Like, I think if I remember correctly, it's a little bit more prominent down southwards or so in the Hispanic, where it's a little bit more, there's a lot more darkish people or so. It's a little bit more prominent, right? And then if you go a little bit more up or so, there's a little bit more brownish people, and then you got a little bit more whitish people or so, right? And then you got like Asian people too. Yeah, we also apparently there's also like a community of like Asian people in Hispanic regions in general too as well. So that's also a thing too as well. So that's why I'm saying like olive skin color, you got the brown skin color, you got the white skin color, you got the black skin color too. Like literally like all of Hispanic, like all of the Hispanic regions, like if you just go downwards and upwards or so, you have a lot of you just have so many different colors of skin tones. But they specifically thought that we just only had one specific skin tone and it's black or so. And I'm like, no, that's incorrect. We're all different skin tone colors, Like we have brown, we have white, we have black, everything in between too as well, A lot of people are also on islands in the Caribbean. That is also true as well. That is actually very true. You're not wrong on that one, to be honest. So, like in the more sunnier places, like more warm sunnier places, like you have quite a like diverse of skin tone in general. Granted, of course, the more popular one is you have more brown people or more black people. It just kind of really depends, So it kind of really depends. But in general, like we just all have different skin tones. But we're all under the same umbrella, okay? We're all Hispanics, okay? Okay. No matter how far different our Hispanic, language or or the culture or whatever, because like, it's different in each specific region or so. We're all under the same umbrella, okay? All right. We all can understand one each other to a degree anyway, so. Because I know sometimes Hispanics sometimes also like hate on each other too. But overall, we're still under the same branch, okay? We all love each other at the end of the day because we all came from the same fucking place, so.
So in this example, he apparently pitched the left idea and it came back as the one on the right. I always find it funny when someone agrees with the chuds, but they're like, I hate to agree with the chuds, or I hate to agree with the gamergators. Like, you already admit that the chuds are correct in their criticism of the AAA industry and the corpos. But for your own political brain rot, your own ideological nonsense, you're like, oh, they're right, but I hate agreeing with them. Anyways, as mentioned, Cartel Del Walker, the same dude, later walked it all back. He walked it all back. I guess the corpos were mad with him, and he made this tweet. After some private DMs today with other black devs, I will no longer be publicly discussing black representation. I love how like that's also capitalized, like black representation in games for the foreseeable future. No more panels, articles, podcasts, nothing. This is not up for discussion, nor is an invitation to try and change my mind. Cheers. Oh my gosh, grown adults acting like this. Grown industry devs like mad at him for talking about the reality of what they're doing. And then Dell like actually capitulating to these weak-minded people. It's just such a pathetic thing to witness. Grown men with no spines at all. Although I will clarify, he didn't really walk back what he said in the prior tweet. He wasn't like, oh, it's not actually true. But you know what I mean. Figure of speech. He like he does regret having posted it, and he's letting these other black devs like bully him over it. But going back to the dev from today, the one who's talking about this Microsoft stuff, that being Anima Lune, we've also got a Reddit post here on our debate games with some interesting responses. Let's check this out. The post reads, South of Midnight character artist admits that Microsoft doesn't want curvy, attractive women in video games and warns developers against using certain body proportions. Does it bother you that Microsoft has a bias against certain women? Let's check out some of the top responses.
All I have to say is I'm getting discriminated. That's all I'm gonna say on that sort of nature. I'm getting discriminated, chat. I'm really getting discriminated. Black people from the US are completely different from black people in Latin America or really anywhere else. That is very true. That is 100% true. The mindset is completely different. They are body shaming They are body shaming me, to be honest. That's wild to see that in 2026. That's crazy. I never thought to see the day and age for something like this.
Here, we've got at the very top, wouldn't this be considered sexist? It's assuming women can't handle seeing attractive women in games. You don't see men complaining about the overly jacked or shredded men in games. They should really allow developers to have the creative freedoms as long as they are legal.
You want to know something? That person doesn't understand. Nobody hates women than other women, especially if the women are hot. The only ones that are going to hate those pretty hot women are basically ugly women. You know, basically women who let themselves go and didn't take care of themselves. Those are the ones who always hate the other women in general. So I've seen it countless times. That's all I have to say. I've seen it many, many, many times before. So I've never like been in that issue myself, but I've seen it though, and I've heard of it. And all I have to say is it's crazy though. There's been a lot of destroyed friendships because of that situation.
Cool. Then we got this one, because I don't know what other words to use. It's to avoid the woke mob, to avoid being called sexist and objectifying women. They got a response that reads, see Stellar Blade or Tomb Raider. But I would rather say yes, quote unquote mob as the number of people actually having an issue.
Like, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong though, right? I'm just talking about like the time when I was over there in like Mexico and El Salvador or so, during my time or so specifically. But if I remember correctly, in Hispanic culture, you like the curvy, sexy women. I'm like, they get praised, if I remember correctly, right? I'm not too sure, right? It's been, like I said, it's been a while since I've been there. I don't know if it has changed or if you guys have been like influenced by Western audience or media or anything like that. But at least during my time specifically, like guys like the curvy, you know, the curvy women, you know. Confirmo. Okay, so ustedes todavía sí le gustan las mujeres que tiene curva. And I'm like, and also the women like the macho, like knightly type of guy, right? I assume that's still a thing, right? Like I said, it's been a while since I've visited, so I have no idea. I'm just talking about like my past or so. So I just want to know how it is now, is what I'm curious about. So
there was never visible in sales. This gets 8 upvotes. Now I gotta just
because la pregunta es ofensiva por supuesto. Okay. But ustedes no están, like, it's not offensive, right? It's not offensive to you guys, right? I assume not, because that's been a thing, like, porque eso está de ahí por tanto tiempo, porque yo sí sé de que los mujeres le gustan los machos hombres, los guapos macho hombres que son bien, que son bien, what's the word? Que respetan las mujeres, que son bien knightly, I guess. I don't know, like a knight. Knight. I mean that you I mean that you doubt my taste is offensive. Oh, okay. It is offensive to the USA women. Okay, what? Okay. I'm like, and I know it. Like, I know for a fact that like in Hispanic culture, tienen caballeros. Yeah, caballeros. Ajá, sí, que son que respetan y que son bien machos y que y tú sabes cómo son así, ¿verdad? Y yo sí sé que a los hombres les gustan las guapas mujeres que tienen curvas y que se miran bien bonitas y todo eso. Y como decir, hey, mami, ven aquí, hombre. You know? Así como es, así sí sé que así son así muchos los hombres que le gustan las mujeres así, you know. Es casi, porque ya casi ya no es eso ¿cómo decir? En el lugar de la Western Society. Ellos piensan que ese específico cuerpo de las mujeres es, ¿cómo decir? Ofensa. Eso le dan ofensa a las mujeres que son bien como brujas, que se mira como una sandía y y están como brujas y se ven bien feas. Son las mujeres que no se cuidan ellos y se enojan a las mujeres que están bien guapas y entonces ellos piensan que ese cuerpo no es verdad, ese cuerpo no existe, eso no puedes hacer, así no puedes, no, así no es, eso no es bonito, ese cuerpo no es bonito como sea. A la verga, hombre, juela, si yo tengo un cuerpo así también, hombre, eso es ofensa a mí. Like I said, man, it's pretty offensive or so that they're pretty much discriminating me, you know? I'm just saying.
Break away for a second, guys. I'm like worried. This is happening more and more to me lately. I don't know if it's my brain. I don't know if I'm messed up or something, but like this comment literally doesn't make sense to me. Like I actually don't know what they're saying here. But it got 8 upvotes. So I'm like worried. I'm like, so wait, people understand this? So if you understand this comment, please let me know. Maybe I need to see a doctor or something, man.
No le gustan.
Next top comment reads, you want to know how to get low sales among your target demographic?
Oh yeah, no, it's crazy.
This
women
is how
bullying
you
other
get low
women
sales among your target demographic.
Fuck, it's feral, to be honest. I've seen it.
Maybe because the women running the show and men are not curvy and attractive and force their opinions on devs. I'm looking at you, The Last of Us 2, Concord, Dragon Age, Veilguard, etc. Yes, not Xbox, but a good example. Men and women all have different body types and appearances. From a selling point, it's better to get the more attractive looking people. It's just a fact that sex sells. Not gonna lie.
Well, yeah,
and
of course,
then there's this
sex
one.
does sell.
No, not support anything you feel might be made for the modern audience. The end. 9 upvotes. This subreddit is actually pretty based. At least the responses here are pretty based for the most part. Which is to say, you can expect that the what's it called? The power mods on Reddit are probably going to try to get this whole subreddit banned. Probably. You know how it is. Every single time a subreddit goes against the hive mind, they try and shut that stuff down. Microsoft needs to back the F off and let developers create. Yeah, we definitely need more ugly girls in video games. Everybody loves to play, everybody loves to watch and play fat girls. Make them.
Y tú sabes la rara cosa? So this is the weirdest thing about it, okay? All right? Tienes unos hombres en el lado no de Estados Unidos, pero el lado de la Western Society, dicen de esos gentes que le gustan las mujeres que son bien guapas, ¿verdad? Que son bien bonitas, que tienen bien buenas curvas, bien buenas tetas y todo eso, y bien bonita la carita y todo. Ahí están unos hombres que dicen a los gentes que le gustan eso específico mujeres que son, ¿cómo decir? How do you say addicted? Adicto. Están, como dice, ellos piensan que son adictos de pornografía. Ellos piensan que que lo tienen bien chueco la mente, que solo piensa puro sexo. Eso que piensa que los hombres que le gustan las bonitas mujeres, piensa que tiene eso que tiene en la cabeza, lo tiene bien corruptado porque está mirando un montón de pornografía. Eso es porque all societies judge people, not just one that's closed-minded. The weirdest thing about it, right, because I said it in Spanish, right, is that like there are some people in the Western society that like call people who like enjoy like pretty women, right, in video games, porn addicts. They call up, there's like, oh wow, you know, you're gonna be a porn addict, you know, you just want something to jerk off, and it's just kind of like, that is the weirdest assumption I've ever heard in my entire life, to be honest. Well, ellos piensan porque como está una bonita mujer en un video de juego, ellos piensan que tú te vas a chacatear cuando estás jugando el juego porque la mujer está bonita. Así, esos que piensan, ahí están unos hombres que dicen eso en la Western Society. Ellos te dicen que los gentes que vean una mujer que está bien bonita en un video de juego, ellos piensan que tú vas a chaquetear porque está ahí, porque está bien bonita. Y dice que los gentes de que, y dicen que los gentes que si está una mujer que está bien fea, una fea mujer, ¿verdad? En un video de juego, dicen, ay, ustedes solo quieren una mujer bonita para que ustedes puedan chacatear a ella. Así lo dicen, así cada vez así lo dicen. Yo no entiendo por qué inmediato piensan así, que ellos son así. ¿Hace cuándo no oigo eso? Wrong again. Apparently, you guys are just gonna jerk off, apparently, if you see a pretty women. Esas gentes que ya tienen la mente torcida, sí, esos gentes sí lo tienen, que defendan, que dicen eso de ver qué cosas a los otros gentes, esos tienen la mente más, más mente. I don't know. Fucking fucked up in the head. There you go.
Gay too. I mean, that Western studios have issues there is known, at least since
Not all men are about sex.
Del Walker, holy smokes, look at this one. Let me start.
Try to say that to people on Twitter, to be honest. Good luck with that.
Again.
Good luck with
that Western studios have issues. There is known, at least since Del Walker talked about and got immediately silenced in regards to his dev work on attractive black characters. There's definitely a bias against making characters too visibly attractive. There is a reason the women they've showed in Fable first as protagonists look so bad. Or why in Diablo 2 Resurrected, the Amazon looks like Willem Dafoe. Oh my gosh. Okay, I had to look that up. Dude, what the frick is this?
What the hell is that?
What is this? Oh my gosh.
That's a woman?
They actually made this. They actually made this and put it in the game and released it. Like, dude, that's crazy. Believe it or not, if I zoom out a little bit, like, it still gets even worse. Like, this looks even worse. Like, this looks like a guy. Like, straight up. But some guys, you know, they can look cool or handsome or cute, but, like, this is just gross. This
I didn't even know that was a woman. I thought that was a guy.
Man. It reminds me of the Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines 2 stuff that was going on a little while back, and everyone was like, dude, which one is even which?
Look, man, if you're going to give me a creator character shit, at least make my woman a bit bustier, okay? All right? I'm like, you're already discriminating me already immediately, to be frankly honest. I'm like, it looks like a dude. They both look like they have the same face. What is this? There's like no boobs. I have boobs, okay? I have boobs. My boobs are pretty big, okay? All right? I need my boobs. Holy cow, dude. That looks like a dude on the thinner dude. This, honestly, it actually does. It just frankly looks like a dude. Man, I feel offended, to be honest. I really do. It's like that meme. It's the same picture. I feel offended, dude. Okay.
Like, why do these people, these Western devs, these corporations keep doing this here in the West over and over and over again? And then the gaming circle jerk people will not actually circle jerk. They'll unironically, like, defend this stuff. Be like, oh, the gamers are they're just far-right chuds or whatever. Why? Because we pointed out that they're actually doing this and we're talking about it. It's so crazy, man. It's so crazy how tribalistic that stuff is.
No,
we end with the most Reddit thing that we've seen in this entire video. So this person disagreed with the OP in the Reddit post we were going over about the South of Midnight dev person calling this stuff out, right, about Microsoft. And so this comment says, with -7 downvotes, chalk, and again, this is on our debate games, by the way.
I can't believe it, to be honest.
Chalk it up to an overcorrection of hypersexualized women in all media, which is absolutely a problem with real-world social consequences.
Now I look like Brady
if you don't
from
support
Nikkei.
the corporations ruining these images of women, you're hurting women. Okay, sure, that's how that works. So I would imagine that whoever is responsible for this decision at Microsoft has confused feminine features like curvy hips and boobs for filthy sex symbols that will corrupt the youth. What? And then people point out why the take's bad. And the same person gets -10 downvotes for this one, says, oh, this is an incel sub. Later. Okay, like I said, the most Reddit thing in this entire video. Good job. I'll leave it there, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know what you think about the latest, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is kind of sad, in my personal opinion. This is actually pretty sad. I don't like this whatsoever, to be frankly honest. I hate this. I actually generally despise this. This makes me feel offended, to be honest. I guess you're not allowed to have curvy women in video games, to be honest. Un buen ejemplo de ¿cómo se dice? Desarrollador, no sé qué es esa palabra, que no le tiene miedo a las curvas, son los del Marvel Rivals. Las skins de femeninas tienen menos ropa cada vez. Oh, sí, eso sí es verdad. Las mujeres que están ahí en el Marvel Rivals o del video de juego, oh sí, ajá. Ellos tienen, a mí yo quiero hacer una mujer bien guapa, igual como los videos de juegos de esos. Cuando yo me crezco yo, así me voy a salir yo también. Ahorita yo ahorita yo estoy más o menos así. Yo estoy más o menos como ella. That's pretty much like, if I had to give you like a representation of like where I am or so, as in like body wise or so, that's basically pretty much me in a nutshell. Así más o menos, pero yo quiero adelgazarme para que yo pueda vivir más mejor y todo eso, so. But that's basically it though. That's generally it though, so. But yeah, this is kind of crazy though, to be honest. You're not allowed to have curvy women. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I ever do get popular, right? And I earn like a ton of money and everything like that, I'm just letting you guys know. I'm gonna be opening up a game studio. And we will make pretty looking characters, guys and girls. Okay? I'm just saying. Both the women and the guys will be hot. Okay? That's all I gotta say. They will be at least very attractive, you know? When that day comes, of course. But anyways, that's the end of the video. You guys can comment, like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazzy stuff. Honestly, kind of funny, but yes. Of course they do, but the problem is I'm talking about the Western side. If we lived in an actual normal society, we have no problem. I would agree with you. But we're talking about Western society. Okay? Let me just pop this up for you real quick. This is an artist who suggested this kind of a very beautiful woman. And then they came out looking like this at the very end. So, in a perfect world, I would say yes to you, Sin. But we do not live in a perfect world. So I'm gonna have to say no. But yeah, anyways, that's the end of the video. Like I said, I can make a different, diverse, attractive women at the end of the day. Like I can draw like muscly women and they'll still be attractive and don't look like a butch, you know? And I can make my curvy women, I can make my petite women at the end of the day, you know? Like I said, when I make a game studio, trust me, the women will be attractive. Trust me. That's the motto, or so at least, you know. If the motto ever changes, just letting you know that studio is dead, okay? All right? But anyways, that's the end of the video. And yeah. They're offended against me. And peace.